sort of the, not so much 1.0, but the sort of beginning days of online learning was really a student-centered, a teacher-centered approach. So the teacher was the sort of the font of all knowledge, and the teacher had the information. The students were trying to get the information out of the teacher, and sometimes the students would succeed and they get the right answer. But even if the student, gets the right answer out of the teacher, they're no better than the teacher. They just they kind of know something the teacher also knows. So that's not very empowering for the student. It doesn't make them feel very, very happy. At the same time, when you look at running MOOCs, you're looking at having lots of different students. So in a class of, say, maybe 20 people, you can kind of get around to everyone, more or less. You kind of know everyone, where they're up to and everything. So you can kind of manage that. But once you get into a MOOC scenario where you have thousands of people, you're not going to know everyone. And if you try and use sort of this old school approach, then you'll kind of be missing people. So the best way, actually the most scalable way as well, is that as a teacher, you don't try and teach everyone yourself. You design activities that enable the students to teach each other and to learn from each other. And through that experience, you're really facilitating the course. You're enabling everyone to do things, but you don't have to directly sort of try and teach students in the sense that you would normally. So this is the direction we see it moving. And this is sort of the direction that all social, I guess almost all websites on the internet have moved over the past 15 years. But education has been very slow to follow this route. But nevertheless, it's happening. And MOOCs enable that to happen when you design the activities well. Yeah, it's actually kind of cool, because there's actually less work for you to do in this scenario as well. It's like if you get all the students teaching each other, then you can really sit back and review the analytics, look at what else is going on, look at the tone of the community. So you can do much higher level things rather than trying to directly assist each individual student.
So is this the education 2.0 you're saying? Would it be called 2.0?
Yeah, we can call it that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many, there are many revisions of e-learning over the past 20 years, I think. But for the most part, until recently, a lot of them have been really content delivery or content dissemination. And the students' experience with those websites is really transactional. So it's like they're going to, almost like buying something online. So if they go to the online course, they're going there to get something which is quite small. Like they're going to get a file or submit an assignment or get some information. Whereas in this model, this is more a community. So in a community, the student doesn't try and optimize the amount of time they spend there. They actually try and spend more time there. So when you get that working, then the students will sort of naturally go there as their main environment rather than going to like Facebook or something. Yeah, 2.0. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess just on the topic of sort of the socializing aspect, when we talk about social learning, we don't mean that the students will use Open Learning or the MOOC as they use Facebook. Facebook and a lot of social media sites are around sharing students' personal lives and personal connections. And we've surveyed many students, and we found that students want to keep their personal life separate from their education life. And we've seen a lot of students start using Facebook for education, but they actually don't want to. They do it for lack of a better option. And the reason for that is because they might want to talk to people in their course that they don't really want to talk to outside of that. So like there might be people who are like, oh, this person, yeah, I really want to work with them in this project, but after the course, maybe I don't want to see them again. So there's actually different relationships people have. So the challenge they have is, another challenge they have is if they mix their sort of personal social life with their education life, then while they're trying to learn something and they're doing really interesting activities, they'll be distracted by pictures from like a party somebody had, a couple nights ago. So there are really a lot of benefits to separating the social, so the education versus the personal social life of the student. And the students understand that as well. Okay, so the learning framework that Open Learning is based on, which is not really, it's not new, and I'm sure all of you really apply it in everything that you do. But I just thought it'd be worth mentioning, which is that open learning is really based on enabling Bloom's taxonomy to happen online. So most online learning really is sort of stuck down here, as you'll see. So this actually matches up closely to the open learning framework, where most online education today, even actually most MOOCs as well, focus on really the passive, we call it sleepy. So passive reading, so people go there, they read documents, they download things, and then they do some pre-designated activities. So it might be a quiz, multiple choice, fill in the blanks, and those are good, but you need more than that, and students are looking for more than that. So to really build effective community, to really help students develop higher order thinking skills, you have to move up this chain in terms of activities. So after that, you get to sort of the more instructional activities and adaptive activities. So these adaptive activities are like, let's say you identify a student needs to learn something else, so you present them with more activities in that fashion. But the activities are all the same. The top two areas, which was where we see education going and what we are trying to enable in open learning, are really the constructive activities. And really we broke them into two types. There's individually constructive and socially constructive. Now, the individual ones are sort of like really rich simulations. But simulations can fall into multiple categories. So for example, we have a course that's run on open learning in economics. And this economics course has a virtual world. And in that virtual world, students actually it's a virtual economy, so they walk around, they buy things, they learn how prices work, how supply and demand works, and it's really cool. But actually that simulation is a convergent experience because all the students going through it are actually going through the same path, and they're all getting to the same point at the end. So the actual virtual world is not that virtual. It's really almost like a canned sort of experience. But what would be better is if that virtual world was more like, say, SimCity, where everyone could have a completely different experience, and then they could share those experiences and reflect on those experiences back with the community. And they can share the things they're proud of in that community. And then we get to the top one, which is really, there are a lot of things that fall into that, but that can be like project-based learning, peer-to-peer feedback, crowdsourcing, different types of materials or projects or assignments. So there's lots of different types of activities, and I'll go through actually some of them to show you how you can practically implement these in the courses as well. But this is roughly the framework that open learning is built on enabling. And open learning enables all of this. But to be honest, the ones down here are quite easy. Like as a platform, these are easy to do. Like everyone can deliver content, everyone can run quizzes. It's not a really big deal. The ones that have been more challenging historically are the top ones, enabling those in a really effective and easy way. So that's what we actually spend most of our time doing.
And must it follow this hierarchy? You must begin with passive, and you must follow corrective. And does it?
You can do it. You don't have to. So actually, you can have a course without any of these. You probably will still need some readings. It might be hard to do without readings at all. But we certainly have courses without corrective activities. That's definitely possible. You can have them without instructional activities. You can have a course entirely focused on entirely within socially constructive activities. But there are, I guess, a number of different learning frameworks that say what order you're supposed to go in and how you should do these sort of things. Our general view is that it's best to do as many of the top ones as possible because the ones down here can be quite boring for students. So that's the general thing, but the platform supports all of it, and lots of people use all of them quite well. So there are many situations where you probably would want to use a quiz, for example. Get some more. Cool. Okay. So there's another, so after that, so I think you already know a lot of these. Oh, I put the water in front of the thing. So I just wanted to mention this briefly, and I'm sure you've seen this before, but there's always a lot of talk about personalized learning. So when we talk about personalized learning, we just want to draw the distinction between personalized versus individualized learning. By the way, I didn't write this. This is from Wikipedia, and the citation of the source got cut out. So yeah, I didn't purposely take that. So there are quite a few differences between individualized learning and what we see as personalized learning. So the personalized learning we see is more that students have personal experiences rather than they have solitary individual experiences where sort of sets of remedial activities are filtered to them.